Okay. I find it's the last day of June. I know. We have a track record going of making it within the month. And then, of course, as things go on, things come up. And so someone will have a conflict, we'll push it back. And then someone else will have a conflict, they'll push it back. And then I've always just been waiting for that 1 month where we couldn't push it back anymore. And I was sure this was going to be the month, but
I was too.
We made it.
We did make it, and I'll hopefully get this posted tonight, so it'll be done already.
Yeah. So we always schedule it for the third Wednesday of every month, and I don't think we've hit that for a long time, but we've always made it within the month. So that's it.
It has to be at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11:30 tonight is when we could have done it.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
favorite doing it. Yeah. So we have haikus. Anybody have anything you want to talk about before we get going here? It's hot in Boise. I don't know about y'all. How hot is it, Amy? Have we hit 100 yet today?
Yes, it was 100. I don't think it's over 100. Oh, mine says 102.
102, and we were just talking that Davin's got what, over 100 there?
Well, the real feel is over 100. So, they try to measure the impact of the humidity by, so it's 90 degrees, but with the humidity and the temps, the way it feels like 100.
Good enough. Well, let's hit some haikus. So I'm going to pull up the screen. And here's our first haiku, June 2021 haiku. And Davin will read it, then we'll give him we'll have some high buns for him.
You can start to get a sense of the real limitations on my graphic design potential here, but I think I got the message across. So the haiku is called "Don't Give Up." A gift, Dad to me. Aloe, nearly dead, revives. New life, pass it on. And you'll notice the two pictures there. The smaller one up in the right-hand corner was taken in the summer of 2016. So that's the same aloe plant. So you see summer 2021 is the larger background picture, and that tiny aloe plant has become much more.
Multiplied.
A forest. Amy, you want to take it?
Sure.
Me too. Okay.
All right. Summer is a season of reviving, not revival. When I forget to water my flower pots for a day or two and they are dry, brittle, whittled, just so sad, it almost feels like a miracle to see how water and just a little attention, pulling out the dead leaves, shifting the direction of the pot, revives the flowers. Just a little water, a little shade, a cool drink, a fan, and we are revived. Back to vitality, to vivaciousness, to vim and vigor. I love the word revive, to bring back to life, to restore, to flourish, to restore to flourishing. It seems like such a timely word for our culture too. We are in the middle of a reviving. We are finding new ways to live life with the lessons learned from a great slowing. We are learning that sometimes just a little water and a sit in the shade creates the conditions for reviving. There is an entire story in these 17 syllables, a real life story, a father sharing a plant, the care taken to revive, a plant thriving and being passed along, the circle starts again. A mythological story of death, redemption, new life. Myth is stories that are truer than true, stories that reveal a universal truth. In a story that is relatable and meaningful. It's an ordinary story, and yet, when distilled down and told with reverence, it's a profound story. The story of presence and the power of haiku.
Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
It was so good. I loved it. I loved just thinking about 17 syllables and this whole story of this plant.
Of course, I write my haibun and my haiku before I read your respective haiku. But both of your haiku made me look at mine very differently. So in some ways, I wish that I had done the opposite this month, because well, we'll probably talk more about it as we go along. So Michael, your turn.
I love this haiku. Amy, I love what you just had to say about it. I love this haiku. I love the pictures. I love the transposition of the 2016, 2021. So just as preface. So don't give up. So the heading, don't give up, immediately drew my attention, mainly because I just had a conversation with someone about what I might wish to focus on and what to give up over the next coming phase of my life. What should I hold on to? What continues to generate light and life in me? And what should I surrender to the past so I might surrender to the possibilities of the future? But reading the haiku and looking at the before and after pictures of tiny, I assume aloe, I don't know what aloe is, so I just assumed that was aloe, growing into a number of healthy plants, I realized that don't give up means something else entirely here. It means don't quit. Don't give up on somebody or something. That the gift was from Dad gives this message several special meaning. Not knowing the context, I felt that Dad was telling son here, don't give up, lad. I believe in you. I care for you. You are a person worth watering and weeding and replanting after you've grown beyond your earlier abilities and dreams. Don't give up, lad. And pass that faith on to your own children and others under your leadership and influence, that you won't give up on them and that they should never give up on themselves. Don't give up. Stay the course and flourish.
That was so good.
You know, my dad is an exceedingly patient person. He's a watchmaker to his core. And but I always knew, in fact, the only way I ever knew that he was angry at me is he called me lad.
Oh, really? Is that right? Oh, that's serendipity. Oh, that's interesting.
That's great.
I was channeling him, maybe. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. My mother and father have decidedly green thumbs and produce bountiful harvests from their garden every year. I inherited only a marginal portion of this green thumbness. I really enjoy growing things, but often lack the je ne sais quoi to really make it work. They'll often share the fruits of their labors, amazing homegrown vegetables. Please take some of our huge crop of tomatoes, for example. Sometimes, though, their gifts come with additional burdens. I've run out of room for my tomato plant seedlings. I've got 19 to give away. Take some. How wonderful to get healthy, guaranteed to produce plants. And how terrible, then, when you can't keep them alive. Enter the aloe. My mother has a magical touch with house plants, especially aloe. I have a fuzzy memory, it might not be accurate, of a kind of fear of our aloe plant as she nurtured it to super succulent proportions. My memory, if I get too close, it might hurt me, reach out. At some point, she decided to separate and divide that giant aloe plant to make more aloe plants. Dad offered one to us. Isla, our daughter, and I adopted the fledgling pup. Baby aloe plants, outgrowths from their mother, are called pups. I was an instant failure. The pup did not do well under my care. Enter summer 2016. Isla and I are preparing to drive across the country together to our then new home, Moscow, Idaho. The aloe plant will not survive a moving van, for sure. Allie and the boys, flying separately to Idaho, can't take it on the plane. Either we abandon the aloe to its inevitable demise, or we take it with us on our intrepid journey across the country, renewing our attempt at remedial green thumbery. The picture you see from 2016 shows the nearly dead aloe as we struggled to nurse it back to health on our drive. That's a rest stop on I-90 in Belvedere, South Dakota. On the hood of our Honda Pilot, soaking up some sun as Isla and I eat a meal. Fast forward to 2021, and I've got my own giant aloe plant with its own little pups ready to be divided, replanted, and turned into a bunch of separate, shareable plants. I feel very lucky that gifted aloe survived and eventually thrived. Somehow it got new life. My marginal green thumb hasn't improved. I just didn't give up. It reminds me that often simply showing up is half the battle. And there is real comfort in that truth.
I love it.
I love it. I knew there was more of a story.
Pups. I never heard. I always learn stuff here. Pups. How interesting that is. Pups.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really cool.
And they, they're little aloe plants that just pop up out of the ground from its mother.
Kind of like tree suckers in my backyard.
That's right.
Not desirable in the same way. Nice. I love it.
Well, thank you for your awesome high bun on the, to me, pretty meaningful haiku.
Yeah, it's a
Beautiful.
father-daughter story, and it's a mother-son story, and it's a family story in a lot of ways. It's just great. Okay, moi next, looks like. Clouds trailing o'er sky, gray and white rain caravan, an airy schooner.
Now, are you going to show the other one too?
Yeah,
I
you
will.
gotta show the other side too.
Okay.
And you gotta, I don't know if you got the Pieper quote, the Joseph Pieper quote on your envelope or not, but that really, for me, changed my whole perspective on this haiku.
I think so.
So here's the second side. What's my life purpose? Today watching drifting clouds. Today watching drifting clouds. Tomorrow the same. And then there happens to be a quote from Leisure, The Basis of Culture, on the back of the envelope, right, Davin?
Yeah. Do you have it there that you can read it? Because I think it's important. I've got it. I can read it.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Leisure is only possible when we are at one with ourselves. We tend to overwork as a means of self-escape. It's a way to justify our existence. And that's from Joseph Pieper, Leisure, the Basis of Culture.
It's a great book he's written. It's not as easy a book as one might assume to read. He's a you know him well, don't you, Davin? He's a philosopher. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, who's up?
Do you want me to go? You want to go? I'll go.
All right.
So I wrote about the second one, the what's my life purpose? What's my life purpose? Books are written on this weighty question. Coaches, counselors, and consultants are hired to help discern. It's a question that leaves people in tangles for years. The purpose question is a question that feels so important to get just right. And so we dance around hemming and hawing while the days of our lives slip by. What if the purpose is to watch clouds, to ponder the beauty of clouds, the variety of colors, textures, and shapes, to experience the fleetingness of clouds? We get only seconds of the cloud. They don't stay the same. They're here and shifting, reshaping, even as we notice. It strikes me that to watch drifting clouds is to be present, to live, as Eckhart Tolle suggests, in the now. We can pick flowers and they will eventually wilt and die, but we can enjoy their fragrance and beauty in our home for a few days. Clouds we can only appreciate right now. They're everywhere. They are free to enjoy. And if you see one that catches your attention, it's probably already shifting or dissipating. In a world obsessed with success and consuming, clouds invite us to something completely different. I can't imagine any companies, adopting watching drifting clouds daily as their purpose statement. And yet, maybe just maybe watching drifting clouds daily is exactly the purpose statement we all need.
That's great. That's a great take on that. And I think it fits nicely with my very different interpretation, but they fit well together, I think. Leisure is often a dirty word. It breathes the same rarefied air as the verb form of summer, as in, we summer at our lake house. And its connotation is equal parts time wasted, spoiled self-indulgence, and gratuitous self-satisfaction. In this version, leisure is either something you have, you're a person of leisure with the time, resources, and inclination, or it's something you provide for others. You're a worker providing the necessary ingredients for others' pleasure. Think Thurston Howell III on Gilligan's Island. If, like me, you come from a culture in which any time spent not working is time wasted, and busy is the best response to how are you doing today, this version of leisure might resonate with you. There are other better versions of leisure, however, and Michael offers a glimpse. The context for this version is set by Pieper's quote, in which leisure is not an achievement of wealth and privilege. Rather, it's an achievement of well-adjusted emotional health and self-acceptance. You've got to be comfortable in your own skin to truly experience leisure. In Michael's version, in this version, leisure is not defined by the activity. It is defined by the state of mind of the person doing the activity. One can be just as much at leisure while taking out the trash or balancing the books as one can be playing a round of golf. So what is Michael's life purpose? Those of us who know him know that he does a whole lot more than watch the clouds. What I see is the endeavor to be comfortable with oneself while watching the clouds, or while doing anything else for that matter. How is that kind of oneness with oneself achieved? Question mark. I don't know, but I think it's the key to an authentic life of leisure.
Nice. So that picture was taken on, Amy, you'll probably be familiar with it, at Sage Inn Lake.
I wondered that.
Yeah, Sage Inn Lake. My friend Vince took a trailer up there, and I just, for several days, and I went and visited for a day. So I'm sitting out there in a chair, just enjoying that moment. So anyway, so here's what I had to say. So I picked the other one, the other kind of picture, the other haiku. Clouds trailing o'er sky, gray and white rain caravan, an airy schooner. So this picture was taken in the Boise foothills during the winter season, and you can see some snow. And I was struck by how the clouds appeared to be trailing themselves like the covered wagons of the Old West, also called prairie schooners, which was the vehicle of choice on the Oregon Trail. So airy schooners, airy schooners and prairie schooners are the kind of the play on words. You know, like any joke, if you have to explain it, it's not that meaningful. I looked up prairie schooners and found out in Britannica and found that they were different, both smaller and lighter than Conestoga wagons used in the eastern United States. These prairie schooners, Britannica says, were used by immigrants traveling to the American West. So isn't the term immigrants with an E interesting here? Immigrants are people moving from one place to another within one's own region or country. Immigrants with an I means moving into a new country. One wonders when people moving from east to west in North America became immigrants with an E and no longer immigrants with an I. when appropriating Native American land became somehow official by fiat or war. These airy schooners, like prairie schooners, are taking their load to another place. Unlike prairie schooners, which represented both new life and the extinguishing of a way of life, these traveling rain barrels only have to decide which part of the country to lay their nourishing freight, with no legal restrictions, land or air encroachment to worry about. So it's interesting what you learn when you write these
Wow.
haikus.
So interesting. So much to think about. I love it.
I remember when I saw those clouds just trailing, I thought caravan, I thought covered, I thought Ward Bond, Ward Bond and what was the name of that show? Wagon Train. So that's it for this week. No, we have Amy.
Amy's
Sorry.
haiku.
That's it for this week, ladies.
That's fine.
That's not fine. It's not fine. Here I am, just wanting to go watch some clouds, apparently. Here's Amy's haiku. Amy.
All right. Ordinary time. Invitation to see the ordinary gifts.
All right.
You got to show the other side too.
Oh, yeah.
It's important.
Sorry, I keep forgetting that.
This is a quote by Macrina Whitaker in the book A Tree Full of Angels, Seeing the Holy in the Ordinary. The fast pace of our lives makes it difficult for us to find grace in the present moment. And when the simple gifts at our fingertips cease to nourish us, we have a tendency to crave the sensational.
I have 2 or 3 of her books, and I don't have that particular book, but
It's my favorite of all of hers.
All right, I will start here.
Okay.
Certainly, Amy and Michael collaborated in writing their haiku this month. Picking up where Michael left off, as I interpreted his haiku, I kind of did a mashup with Michael's haiku. Amy gives us a vision of the emptiness and escapism inherent to our busyness, kind of the anti-Michael watching clouds. There is so much wisdom here on both sides of this postcard. The canary in the coal mine is craving the sensational. I don't mean that everyone who jumps out of a perfectly good airplane or drives really fast is actually escaping the emptiness they feel inside. That seems a bit overly dramatic. But there's a balance to be sought, I think. And Amy provides good direction on achieving that balance. Instead of interpreting ordinary as boring, domesticated, and ineffectual, interpret it as aspirational. Seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary is a key to living profoundly. Mm-hmm. Every minute is a gift for the person with eyes to see it. Who needs a beach house or even a gilded golden escalator when there are white, airy schooners to watch or aloe plants to share?
So good. Exactly. Exactly. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too.
That's I thought that your haiku just put kind of an exclamation point on everything this month.
Yeah, I did too. I love it.
I love the way you're writing. And Davin, I don't know if you're following her blog. What do you call it? A blog, essays,
newsletter. Yeah,
her newsletter. Every week it's chock full of great stuff, and I wonder how you have time to write it. It's just like great stuff. What are the names of those little things that you highlight? What are those things called?
Like florilegium.
Florilegium. I never heard of that term. For our listening audience, what's a florilegium?
Well, the idea is it's an ancient practice of taking little pieces from different texts and then putting them together and seeing what new things emerge when you kind of mash up different things. Or a florilegium is like when people collect quotes or collect flowers. It's a compilation of different things to put together to see what is new. Kind of like what we're doing here with the high buns. We put it all together and see a new pattern.
Right. I know some poets go through, and I forget what they call it. I don't know if they call it subtraction or erasure or something, but they'll take a poem and they'll erase pieces of it and get a whole new interpretation from that. Poets know all about that. I have one book of it. It's very interesting. So anyway, I love this thought. I've thought a lot about ordinary and extraordinary, and how both poets and artists and philosophers notice the extraordinary in the ordinary. Having said all that, I went a different way with this. My original thought when reading this haiku was to set up an immediate contrast between ordinary and extraordinary, the routine or usual versus the exceptional, unusual, and then to make the case that everything is both. But then I remembered that ordinary times in the context of the Catholic Church are times not included in the major seasons of Advent, Lent, Easter, and Christmas. For the Methodist Church, that's my church, ordinary times are, and I quote from our UMC website, excuse the quote, the Christian year includes 2 central cycles focused on the major events in the life of Christ, the Christmas cycle, Advent, Christmas, and Epiphany, and the Easter cycle, Lent, Easter, and Pentecost. Each of these seasons begin with a time of preparation and anticipation, followed by a time of celebration. Ordinary time follows each cycle. Now, this is the part that's interesting to me. The word ordinary here does not mean routine or not special. Instead, excuse me, it refers to the ordinal numbers, first, second, third, used to name and count the Sundays, such as the third Sunday after Epiphany. This term comes from the Latin ordinalis, meaning numbered or ordered, and tempus ordinarium, measured time. Now, you two being great followers of the church probably have known this for years, but I didn't know that that's what ordinary time meant. I knew there was ordinary time, I didn't know that. I never realized that ordinary means in these religious contexts, what ordinary means in these religious contexts till I just read this. So if we were to think of ordinary time in Amy's haiku as something numbered or ordered, and ordinary gifts as something numbered or ordered, what would that mean? Then what would an invitation be? One choice, no doubt there are others, would be to suggest that ordinary time represents an ordered life, and that the blessings of an ordered life are gifts that grow in number in ordered way, as ordered days and weeks and months flow by. This ordinary time, ordinary gifts, it must be noted, are enriched by the disorder and disruption of extraordinary times. I don't know if they're actually officially called that, of Epiphany and the miracles of birth, death, and rebirth, which complement a holistic journey.
I love it. Mine is a mashup of both of yours. Ordinary time in the liturgical calendar is the time between feasts and the important events in Jesus's life. I sort of love that the church has an entire season designated as ordinary. This is the time between the big events, the feasts, the parties, the fasts, when we live our ordinary everyday lives. We live out what the feasts and fasts teach us. There are more ordinary days than extraordinary days. Ordinary days are the days that make up a life. Ordinary is a word that we don't really like to use. It was ordinary, loosely translated as womp, womp, womp. And yet, without the ordinary days, we don't know when the extraordinary days happen. Ordinary is the baseline that we all need. Ordinary time in the church calendar is the time to live out all that has been learned. It's a season of slow and steady growth, of putting into practice what faith, hope, and love mean. Ordinary time is an invitation to see with clear eyes who we are, what we're made of. It's where, I can't even say it, aloe, I was gonna say Ola, aloe plants are revived and where clouds teach us the power of now. May we be ordinary people living in ordinary time with eyes to see the gifts and reviving power of ordinary.
Nice, nice. Good overlap there.
Yeah, I brought it all together.
All the way around. Hello. Any other comments or thoughts? I just find this so enriching every month. Now, I'll note this is our 14th video,
Really?
14th video, and months before that of these sessions without videoing them. So, Davin, any other thoughts before we get out of here?
So are we coming up on 2 years then, I think, right? Will August be 2 years?
2 years of videos?
Right. No,
No.
of writing the haikus and
2 years
doing-
of,
I'd say at least
Yeah.
at least 2 years. I mean, because if we've been doing this for 14 months and we were doing this several months
before.
mm,
before this, so we've been doing this for over 2 years.
Who would have ever thought?
Who'd have thunk it?
I know.
It's sensational. It's the beach house. No, it's not the beach house. It's the grain of sand.
Mhm.
It's practice, which I love, you know.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, everyone. I love these pictures, and I love all this work. So
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
I will see you later. Oops.